So your name and spell it?
Rebecca Gelunas, Rebecca Rebecca, Gelunas, Gelunas.
Okay. Title?
Street Outreach Homeless Prevention Coordinator.
Okay. What is involved in that title?
We received a grant from the City of Binghamton, Emergency Solutions Grant it was called, and we go out at least on a weekly basis with volunteers, and we go to locations where unsheltered and homeless individuals are likely to congregate. So we do that with a team. We either go out by foot, pulling a little wagon with some supplies on it, or we take the church van out and travel around City of Binghamton, mostly City of Binghamton, 24-hour laundromats, riverbeds, bus station, places like that where we know that unsheltered people may be at. Also, we act as a referral agency here at the church. People may have other needs. They may be in need of a security deposit. Maybe they were homeless. They went into the VOA, Volunteers of America, their emergency shelter, and now they're looking to get into some permanent housing. A lot of times there's a barrier because they don't have a security deposit. DSS will pay their first month's rent, but the security deposit is often an issue. So for things like that, we try to link them up with different agencies who might be able to help.
What kind of supplies do you provide to them?
Sure. When we go out and do the street outreach, we will bring like a cold weather kit or a wet weather kit, which will have like a sleeping bag, a tarp, maybe an emergency reflective blanket, also a food kit, and personal hygiene kits, so shampoo, conditioner, soap, things like that.
What was the biggest story that impacted your life as far as it revolved around this?
The biggest story that impacted my life, just a recent story, was a gentleman who was incarcerated, released from jail, released on a Friday afternoon with no plan. So we met up with him at the bus station, and he was not able to get a DSS case open because he was sanctioned. He had a charge in another state that he couldn't get taken care of. Well, he said it was already taken care of, and the barrier was getting back to that state in order to take care of it. And because of this charge, he was not able to access any services whatsoever. He, didn't have ID, which is common among people that we meet up with. They've either lost or had their identification stolen. So, driver's license, non-driver's ID, maybe a benefit card, all, social security card, birth certificate. We are able to work with the Sheriff's Department and get the fee waived if they can't afford that, if it's a barrier. And getting the different forms of ID that they need in order to do anything in the system. It's challenging. It's challenging for them, for sure.
What was the end outcome of this?
The end outcome is that he was traveling. The last I heard, he was actually living under the train tracks over here. And the last I heard, he was going to travel back, hitchhike to the state where he had these charges to get them taken care of. I'm assuming that's what he did. And the charges that he originally got in that state was due to hitchhiking. So it's just a poverty cycle. It seems to get out of the poverty cycle once.
So you see this as just a progressing thing that continues to repeat itself over and over again? Without intervention, it will. Without intervention, it will, yeah. But I've definitely seen success stories, where it'll take a person 2 days. They'll be on the street, they'll go to the emergency shelter. The next day they're at DSS. They've applied for their emergency housing, and then they're in an apartment that next day. So there truly is, the system does work. Of course, there are barriers. In some cases are more complex than others. But certainly if a person is determined to get off the street, they'll do those steps necessary to get off the street. However, that being said, nobody wants to be homeless. Nobody wants to be homeless. It's a hard life. It's a hard life, not knowing where you're going to eat next, not knowing where you're going to sleep next, the increased chance of violence, etc. There's a sort of learned helplessness that occurs. So they try to access, the system, barrier after barrier occurs, and then they, kind of give up. And then maybe, they'll get recharged and they'll, try to access different services again. And it's barrier, after barrier. And sometimes, that occurs over and over, and a person has this, just learned helplessness where they'll be like, heck with it, I want to be homeless. When in fact, nobody really wants to be homeless.
Do some people actually go and do something deliberately so that they end up getting incarcerated for?
Well, gentleman I was just working with today, he also recently got out of jail. He was staying in an emergency shelter for 2 weeks, I believe they gave him, and went and got emergency housing apartment. And he was facing some barriers, didn't feel safe in the room that he was given, and very frustrated in trying to, a veteran, very frustrated with trying to access services. And he said during, one point in the interview process, he says, I'm almost tempted to do something so that I can go back to jail. At least I know I'll be fed and I'll be safe, and it's unfortunate. I mean, I think it was said kind of tongue-in-cheek, I don't think he really wanted that to happen, but certainly.
But it's still on their mind.
It's still on their mind. Yeah, but there are definitely success stories, for sure, success stories. But one of the biggest barriers that, I'm seeing is people, who may have been evicted from their apartment, who are in the process of becoming, evicted, and them trying to catch up on their rent, or them trying to get that security deposit so that they can move into the next place. I mean, these are families, in a lot of cases, these are families, and they're out there. It's devastating. Also, we have a community meal here at First Assembly of God every Wednesday at 5:30, and also again on Sunday morning at 8:30. And a lot of the unsheltered and homeless population that we serve come to those meals. It's really nice. We can, help get them into an emergency, into a shelter situation if they need that, or if they have other needs. We have that opportunity to talk with them, to, build those relationships and, help to meet some of those other needs, whether it's, a clothing need, and we're able to provide a clothing voucher with, one of the partners, Catholic Charities, or a resource list where they, can, they have all of the dates and the times, the day of the week and the times and the locations of all the different community meals in our area, so they can eat. Also the food pantry, a list of all the food pantries, so they know where to go to get, additional resources. We also have a food pantry here. It's the second and fourth Wednesday, 5:30 after the community meal, so people are able to access that as well. But
what organizations do you work with besides, of course, like the Catholic Charities?
Lots of organizations. The Homeless Coalition and Continuum of Care is made up of agencies like Volunteers of America, the YMCA, YWCA, Rescue Mission, Opportunities for Broome, Catholic Charities, Family Enrichment Network. At First Assembly of God, we have, our shawl ministry, and so ladies ministry. They have made tons and tons and tons of hats for us. Other people who just send in donations, who are passionate or have been touched by homelessness in some way or addiction. We've worked with the ACC, Addiction Center, Broome County, also ACBC. So lots of different organizations.
I'm sure I have missed many, and I apologize, but there's truly, the continuum of care, trying to, provide wraparound services in collaboration to help people get their needs met the best that we're able to. Starting, I want to say the beginning of June, we're moving to a system where people will be utilizing the 2-in-1 system to be screened and be able to be plugged into the programs that they would most benefit from. This is going to kind of streamline the system, whereas now, somebody might come to First Assembly to get help, somebody might come, go to another agency to get help, and it might be difficult. Well, do they qualify for this program? Well, great if they do, but are there other needs that we can't meet? So can we plug them into other agencies in the community? And by utilizing 211 in that screening process, it'll help plug them into other agencies more quickly, more efficiently. So we're looking forward to that. But the rescue mission has been, a great partner in all of this. I actually have their shirt on today. It was their Freeze Out event to raise awareness, and this just happened a couple of months ago. They've donated all sorts of personal hygiene items. We put together little bags of soap and shampoo and conditioner and body wash and all that, and we are able to bring that out when we do street outreach. We also give it away during the community meals. The Volunteers of America, VOA, absolutely, essential to the street outreach. They're primarily the place where we bring men and women and families when they're in need of shelter. I've never, ever had them say that there wasn't a bed and not be able to get a person in. There may be other reasons why that person can't go there, but never because there's not a bed. Absolutely fantastic. They'll put people, on their couch. They'll put people, on cots in their living room. Fantastic organization.
They practice housing first
Mm-hmm.
over policy,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not really familiar with that, honestly.
I know that some organizations that I've
Housing First, yeah.
where they
Mm-hmm.
will take policy over housing, and then other ones do housing over policy. Which you know what I mean? It's
so,
like if there's some
mm-hmm.
small problems, policy
mm-hmm.
will still allow some of those, but if there's some things that they really need help with, sometimes it causes them to lose housing.
Absolutely.
And I know VOA
Mm-hmm.
does not do those kind of things.
Well, actually, it's interesting. We just had a training, the Homeless Coalition. A lot of the partners were trained in this philosophy of housing first. There's research out there that says if a person is housed, they're more likely to be able to be successful at overcoming substance abuse, and they're able to get those other needs met. They're in a stable environment, they're in their home, and they're able to work and get those other things met. So the Housing First philosophy is get them in a house, deal with everything else secondary. There's a lot of research out there saying that is the best practice, that's the most effective way, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper than people going in and out of the shelter systems, people utilizing the emergency room all the time because they don't have a primary care doctor. So it's almost
the same ideal that when we should be working on recuperating people that have been in prison and stuff like that instead of just sending them out without any skills.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
They've proven it in Norway that
absolutely
they have 80% of the people who've been in the jail do not come back because they got a new life skill.
Right on. And I think we're moving in that direction. I think change is hard. Social norm change it's hard. It's a long road, but I think we're moving in a direction where homelessness is going to be a thing of the past. Truly, it is a problem that can be solved. And I think with this housing first philosophy and moving into the new system where people who not only are unsheltered but have other needs go through one system that's able to link them up with the appropriate agencies, I think it's key. is key. There's a lot of passion out there. The agencies are, coordinating, working together, and really trying to solve this, trying to solve it.
Looks like it might be possible for them to do even more recuperation because of or fixing themselves or getting new life skills. Because, I mean, with New York State also accepting like education and stuff like that as a
yeah. Where agencies are losing funding. HUD, they have been cut. The HUD funding has been cut in some cases, and people are being asked. Agencies are asking to do more with less. I think that's probably across nonprofit agencies.